So, Mattel HURLANT revival issue number 2. So yeah, it's been a minute, but I wanted to talk about this because I was one of the crowdfunder backers for the Mattel HURLANT revival, basically, and I feel like with the second issue I can kind of make a more definite statement about the direction in which or just the feel of the magazine, my overall opinions of it, which are mostly positive in some ways. I mean, I mainly subscribed to, so there's a 4-issue run for the year, so I subscribed to that mainly for the old art from all of the classic, artists like Mobius and Droulet and Enki Bilal and such. But with the first issue, it was kind of like a hodgepodge of different things. But the second issue has more of a thematic organization, so it's like about space exploration or the hazards of going out into space and whatnot, and that's all fine and everything. I think what made this a really, like, the first half of this magazine, majority of this magazine actually, kind of a slog, was just the blandness of that subject, of how that's dealt with by some of the modern artists and writers, because essentially most of these stories are about Mars, about going to Mars, colonizing Mars, instead of, like, you don't really get a lot of other stuff dealing with, like, more outlandish things or further other planets or something. It was all focusing on Mars because that's the hot topic right now. That's just like talking about, are we going to Mars, colonizing Mars? It just felt so just trendy, and not to mention, like, a lot of the aesthetic factors in a lot of these were just very I don't know, just bland, kind of following, like, your, I don't know, prescribed scientifically accurate like tech that you just see in every science fiction thing. And then there's some stylistic experimentation. This story was actually really it was a nice little jump, basically saying, like, David Bowie went to another planet and came back as an alien. And that's all, like, these other pop stars did, except for Ringo. He was the only one who didn't get turned into an alien, which that was funny, and had just, that one felt like, something from the old Mattel HURLANT, even though I haven't read, like, full issues of that. Like, that one felt just kind of funny and witty, and the artwork was much better. And then you've got a short Mobius strip. It's a small universe, which I think illustrates the what makes the more successful stories in here work, which is basically just kind of like just telling a story, and there's a strong artistic vision behind it, along with some weirdness and poetic touches. The problem with a lot of these other ones is that they're just trying way too hard to be topical. They're they really have the social consciousness knit on their sleeves a lot of times, or just even, like, some stuff where it's just like, I heard about this, so I'm gonna put it in here, we're gonna talk about it, even though it's not actually that interesting when you're, like, talking about it instead of just telling the story. It's just like, just like pointing out these aliens are possessing these dead bodies and talking, and then some guy just like muses that, the history of advanced civilizations encountering more primitive ones is not that great. It's like, thank you. It's really like the writing on a lot of these is, I don't know. I would. There's a British term that I like that's called bog standard, which I think sums up kind of my feelings about some of this stuff. And then, like, with each section, there's a little introduction and summarizing the stories, following it, trying to, like, make, I guess justify their inclusion. That they're like, we're being, like, we're, talking about the scientific discussion going on. And then they have this section, which is just, like, this Star Trek science advisor interview, which just really smacked so much of I effing love science, and it's just, that was kind of tiresome. Like, it's like the allotted, like, religion kind of, like, that's the vibe you get a lot of time. This was nice. This was just a nice retro kind of story, done in a very distinct style, just not even any gray tones, and the retroness of it was handled very well, I thought, too. And I really liked these drawings here, and then some of the stories were more personal. Some of them were like, I don't know, I just feel like something like this story was very interesting, very macabre, but the drawing wasn't too great. This one's about people trying to have kids on Mars, and it was, I don't know, it was just not my thing. The style was different. I'm like, this style was pretty cool, even though, again, it's just kind of talking about other stuff, and they're all kind of like, everything is kind of like shuffling the same themes. It's like, the climate crisis and all this and that, and all of them have this very despairing tone, as if like, it's like, this is the only thing we have to do. We have to get to Mars. Like, that's it. We're not going to be able to save the Earth and whatnot. I'm just like, what a freaking gospel. It's like an anti-gospel. It's just like, to think, to just, I don't know. I that's not my, that's not my belief, and that's not my worldview. And being immersed in these kinds of stories is like kind of nightmarish. I'm like, man, I would hate to live like just day to day when like seeing the world that way, as if like humanity's hope rests within itself. And this story was cool. It was short, wordless, very nice art. I know I really despise a lot of the some of the digital coloring methods. Some of them are distinct like that, and this one's fine, especially using a little more limited palette. But it was actually a very sweet kind of story. This one was like the worst to get through, because literally you could have just replaced like the setting or anything, and it's just somebody just having like a conversation, basically like a shower argument with Donald Trump or something. That's kind of what this felt like. It doesn't even matter what you think of, like, I think politically, or like, it's just like, I just felt like this was a waste of time, because it was so obvious. And then there's something talking about Werner von Braun, and then we got a very nice Jean-Claude Metier story. There's just beautiful, beautiful color, like yeah. And it's short. It's like a fable kind of. That's what it's like. The best stories in this are have this sort of mythic aspect to them. So that was a very good one. And then you've got Enki Bilal right here. So they have the first part of his Exterminator 17, which I think it's great. I mean, it looks like I think from this period it's like very Mobius, very much so, but it's also a little grungier. and then that, and yeah, you're reading this, and there's a lot of weirdness, of, like the setting and all that. So I actually did enjoy this one, and yeah, I just think the older stories are the prime reason for me looking forward to these coming out, because the newer stuff, it just, even aesthetic wise, I can just go ahead, like the digital coloring is kind of, it really isn't that great. In some cases, this one was nice, because again, it was just like, it was weird. It was, the setting was interesting, and then at the end you're kind of just left scratching your head. And again, this story was also really cool, kind of like darkly poetic. And another one, it's just like, okay, we're on Mars, oh, there's aliens out there, and then we're quoting Ray Bradbury, Mars is the first step to the stars. Okay, like, I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of the of that kind of stuff. It was just like the whole, like, by the time I got to that point, I'm just like, I was just over it. This one was a bit racy at some point, but it was memorable. It was unique. This one, gosh, when I'm talking about like digital effects, like just getting on my nerves, like this is like, I don't even know if this is a photo or something being overlaid, and then you've got these blooms in like almost every page, just really obstructing the art. I would say I do like the idea of this, though. It's like these like space kittens, but then you've just got, these things overlaid, and I don't know if people realize when they do this, and I think about this myself when you add something like that, you already have volume, you already have, that conveyed in the lines of the drawing. When you add something like this, if it's just on top of that, it's smooth, it's round, it flattens the entirety of the image, so you're not even you lose, I'm trying to explain it, like, from an artist perspective, like, when I look at this, and this one was just kind of simple. So anyway, okay, so this is what, like, I'd almost kind of like thought, all right, we're kind of like fizzling out here, but then this Philip Drouet story comes in, which I don't even know if I can read that. Gal. Okay, that's right, yeah. This one was phenomenal. Just you're getting the, this, wild prose talking about, just future and this space prison, and then the insane coloring going on with the artwork. It's just kind of like this 1-2 punch, just really sublimating you to the art and the story, which I think is just a very good hallmark. And then this is when I went just, oh yeah, now that's the stuff. That's the stuff. Like, you have these double page spreads that read vertically like this. Same thing with here. And I'm just soaking it all in, and I'm like, this is what I've been wanting. And what a shame that, nothing like this being made right like now is in the magazine itself, like from a newer artist. It's just a different time, and yeah, this was really like fire in my imagination, seeing this stuff. So that was good. And then we got kind of a bleh thing at the end. So, and then, oh yeah, one more story where it's kind of like, yeah, just like a horror twist thing. So yeah, I am looking forward to the next issue that actually looks, I think it's a Peach Momoko cover. which looks pretty wild in itself. So there's 2 more issues for the year. I might talk about those after they happen, or maybe when all the 3rd and 4th one are out. But yeah, I don't know if you can get this one, or if you can subscribe to this now. I think you might be able to, or buy them later. But if you can find these, I think I don't know. Your best bet is to find them later on. Maybe the stories will pop up elsewhere, but I think it's very valuable for having these older things reprinted, because they're kind of collected together and sometimes they're scattered all over the place. But yeah, so that's HURLANT number 2. All right, thanks for watching.